Rule 24, towing and pushing. I'm going to break these types of towing and pushing into several videos, and this first video will be concerned with towing astern. So if you're looking for pushing ahead or towing alongside or inconspicuous types of objects, get into a different video. This video is strictly on towing astern, both international and inland. So if you're along for the ride, stick with me, take a deep breath. If towing is that rule that you just hate, then we're going to break it down item by item so that out at sea, you'll be able to properly identify a towing vessel, and those annoying questions on the rules of the road test will be your bread and butter. Towing astern is a great one to begin with because I want you to remember it is the exact same. Inland and international, they have all these different sorts of rules for towing and pushing because of the different customs, but towing astern in international waters is the same as it is in inland waters, and that's a victory, ladies and gentlemen. Such a treat. So let's go ahead and see what it is. How to light them up. So I want to go ahead and introduce to you the strategy that I will use for any towing vessel and object being towed for the entirety of Rule 24. I hope that you too can adopt this strategy so that you can properly light it and identify it. That no matter what the length of the tow or the towing vessel, there will be two mast headlights. First, we need to determine the length of the tow, and secondly, we will determine the length of the towing vessel. So here it begins, a power-driven vessel when towing, and here we are towing astern. Instead of the power-driven lights given for the mast headlight and the mast headlight, second mast headlight for greater than 50 meters, that's what Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 and Rule 23 are talking about. So put those aside, take this power-driven vessel, okay, we know they're towing astern, and they automatically get two mast headlights. I like to say 2 for tow. So before you even look into the lengths of the towing vessel and the object being towed, you're going to put 2 mast headlights on the towing vessel. The second thing we need to think about is determine the length of the tow, because the next sentence says, when the length of the tow, measuring from the stern of the towing vessel to the after end of the tow, right next to this stern to stern. So the length of the tow, we're talking about stern of the towing vessel to the stern of the end of the tow. If that exceeds 200 meters, this is the length of the tow, you're going to put a third light up. Let's go ahead and look now at this picture. Automatically, because this vessel is towing, we get 2 mast headlights. These 2 belong to the towing vessel. I've also heard other instructors say that there's a mast headlight for the vessel towing, and then there's the mast headlight of the barge because the thing you're towing will not have a mast headlight. But however you decide to remember it, the entering argument for a towing vessel will be 2 mast headlights. In a vertical line above those, there's a third mast headlight, and that is identifying the length of the tow, as we remember stern to stern. If we just imagine over here, this, just use your imagination from here, the stern of the towing vessel to this stern, it exceeds 200 meters. This will be the reason why. This will be the identification to the lookout for the third mast headlight. So the lookout will see 1, 2 for tow. The third one is linked to the length of the tow. This is identifying the fact that whatever is coming off the stern of this vessel exceeds 200 meters. So that tackles the mast headlights here of this towing vessel. And let's take a look at the description here. Many of the pictures in the book are super helpful for understanding and actually visualizing this. So this indeed is a power-driven vessel towing astern. The towing vessel is less than 50 meters in length. Okay, we haven't talked about that yet, but we'll get to that. The length of the tow exceeds 200 meters. Okay, great. We know that. 2 for tow. There it is. Length of the tow exceeds 200 meters. It's the same for inland, right? Because towing astern is the same internationally as it is in inland waters, which is wonderful. What else do we need to point out? Well, there are side lights, okay? A stern light, check. And then here, a towing light, a yellow towing light, right? Because by definition, a towing light has the same characteristics of that of a stern light. However, it is yellow in color. So the towing light, the yellow towing light, will be in a vertical line above the stern light. So let's take a look at there. There is your yellow towing light above the stern light. And you can always think of where the stern light, the side lights and stern light go hand in hand, but the yellow towing light goes above the stern light. This is the same. So think of yellow over white. I am towing astern at night. Yellow over white. I am towing astern at night. And finally, when the length of the tow exceeds 200 meters, which in this case it did, right, because we have a third mast headlight, a diamond shape will be displayed where it can best be seen on the towing vessel and also on the object being towed. So there's the diamond on the object being towed. Here's our diamond, because diamonds, plural, are a girl's best friend, right? We don't just want one, we want two. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. If you give the thing doing the towing a diamond, give the object you are towing a diamond as well. Let's skip down just to verify that with echo. So we're in alpha right now, looking at what a power-driven vessel displays when towing astern, and we'll just skip over to echo to take a look at the vessel or object being towed. So here's the diamond that we spoke about because this length of the tow exceeds 200 meters. There's the second diamond. For a vessel or object being towed, other than those mentioned in paragraph golf, and that's the inconspicuous, partly submerged vessels. So for these ones, you're going to put the barge being towed, you're going to have side lights and a stern light. You will put up the diamond if the length of the tow, remember stern to stern, exceeds 200 meters. Same for international as it is for inland. And the last thing we need to cover is the length of the towing vessel. When you are thinking about mast headlights, you begin with 2, right? 2 for tow. Your next is to determine the length of the tow. So determine if it exceeds 200 meters or not. That will be an additional third light in a vertical line. So you will have 3 mast headlights if the length of the tow exceeds 200 meters. But you could also have a third mast headlight, even a fourth mast headlight, for a different reason. If the power-driven vessel is 50 meters or more in length, which it is referring to in Rule 23, a mast headlight will be displayed in addition if the vessel is 50 meters or more in length. It will be abaft of and higher than the forward one. That's to give the lookout the profile to determine the length of the towing vessel. So let's look at this picture right now to figure out what's going on and to identify why the mast headlights are spaced out as they are. Automatically, we know this power-driven vessel is towing, so they will have 2 mast headlights in a vertical line. And here they are, 2 for towing. Our second mission is to determine the length of the tow. If the length of the tow exceeds 200 meters, there would be a third mast headlight above those. There's not, so I know looking at this vessel, the length of the tow is 200 meters or less. And finally, for mast headlight determinations, I need to consider the length of the towing vessel. This towing vessel has an additional mast headlight forward and lower than the other ones, and it's just suited to the best possible configuration of that of the vessel. You could have 2 up front, 1 higher up in the back, or you could have 2 high in the back and 1 lower in the forepart of the vessel. All this is to space it out so that the lookout can determine the length of this vessel is 50 meters or more. So I want you to take there's a distinct difference. There can be combinations of mast headlights. You can have 3 mast headlights, 1, 2, 3 in a line, and that would indicate the length of the tow was greater than 200 meters. Or you can have 1, 2, and then a third one higher than and abaft of or lower than and forward of that combination. So this is the length of the towing vessel. Its length is 50 meters or more. So in review, towing astern is the same as international as it is in inland waters. The key to identifying towing astern will be yellow over white. I am towing astern at night. Additionally, they will display side lights, and in determining mast headlights, and to determining how many you need, you will always begin with 2 for tow. This third one, vertical one, above those 2 for the tow, is identifying the length of the tow. It exceeds 200 meters. If it exceeds 200 meters, the towing vessel gets a diamond, and the barge being towed gets a diamond. If there were an additional mast headlight back here, a fourth one, this would be identifying the fact that the length of the towing vessel is 50 meters or more in length. And that is towing astern.